If you can't work less or speak up less because your identity and your personal value rests in your profession, your career, your title, your paycheck numbers, I need you to lean all the way in. Please, earballs open. Exactly what you want to reject because it threatens you is the most important work you could be doing right now for yourself.
Welcome to the Build Your Brave Career podcast, where we flip the script on the tired stereotype that women in and around the tech industry have to be stressed out, overworked, and underpaid. I'm Nicole Steinbach, the International Bravery Coach and your host. Forget what you've been taught. Bravery is not a personality trait available only to the brash. Bravery is a skill, and you already have it. Which is great, because building the skill of bravery is the most powerful way to creating the career and life you really want. As you build your brave, you will stress less, work less, and then earn more. This podcast will help you do just that. Let's dive in.
3 things up front before I get into the content. The first one, this episode is in response to your response to my last episode. My last episode was called Bravery in the Meantime: How to Use a Tough Career Phase for Long-Term Success. If you haven't listened to that one, pause this, go listen to that one, because this one is, again, a response to your response, and holy moly, was there a lot of response. Okay, number 2, thank you for following up and asking, what's going on with this podcast? What's going on with this podcast is what's going on in my life. My family, and I've mentioned this a couple of times over the last year or so, we're navigating some pretty big topics. They aren't all my story, and so I won't be sharing them here. Those threads have me prioritizing very clearly my health, my family, my delivery, and then marketing and other services like my podcast. To be clear, I remain committed to the longevity and the quality of this podcast and in remaining in conversation with you. Yes, please do keep sending me emails, hit my DMs on LinkedIn, and I hope that experiencing me ruthlessly, delightfully prioritizing inspires you to identify your brave prioritization and for you to put that into place. If you have any questions about that, on my website, there's something called the accountability triangle, and that might be a really helpful exercise for you to go through. This is number 3. I am going to be graduating 2 of my long-term clients. I'm very proud of. So that means in the next couple of months, I will be opening up 2 spots in my coaching practice. If you want to be on the wait list, send me an email, nicole@tricksteinbach.com. There are a few people on the wait list. However, things change. I haven't accepted new clients in a bit. And when I have accepted new clients, I've only accepted one at a time. But if you're interested, please reach out to me and we can talk about what design would actually support you and what my practice would be able to offer you. All right, here we go. Now on to the content. As I mentioned, this episode, there's one thing that I really want to clarify about the last episode, and then we're going to get into the actual responses. I sent that episode out because of 2 specific people. And I knew if there are 2 people in my Brave community dealing with the same sort of situation, an unhealthy, disappointing, frustrating career phase, then I know many other women are dealing with the same situation. I too watch the news, right? And I know that many big names in the tech industry or tech industry adjacent, they aren't exactly bringing their best, so to say, right? They're not doing well by their employees, their customers, their vendors, the planet. I think it's fair to say basically they're not doing well by anyone who isn't a big time shareholder. I knew the topic was going to resonate. I did not expect the level of conflicting feedback. I got text messages, emails, DMs. I got tagged in a few posts. That was more or less a new thing. I got feedback in person when I went to a networking conversation, and feedback was all over the board. Listen, I often get feedback on my podcast episodes, and I am so grateful for every single one. I'm grateful you download this. I'm grateful you listen to this. I'm grateful you take a slice of your time and share your perspective. But I have never gotten this wildly different feedback. There really have only been 2 other episodes that got this level of feedback, but the feedback was pretty in line with 1 or 2 outliers. And those were an episode called The Glass Floor, a call to men in tech, your opportunity to lead the change. And the second episode was recognizing toxic career surroundings, create clarity to stress less and craft positive professional growth. Since then, I get feedback, but not as much. And I've never gotten this different feedback. So it's taken me a while, amongst all of my priorities, to reflect upon that feedback, to enter into conversation with people about their feedback, and then really structure the feedback. As I worked through this feedback, I realized I could organize it around 4 key buckets. Now, of course, there were outliers. These are the most common grouped into buckets. All right. I am sharing example quotes per each bucket, and I'm sharing all 4 here again as an example of leading in my brave. We far too often only hear and share the positive feedback that we get, and we only notice or comment on the negative. And so I want to role model being brave enough to share the full range of responses for successes, failures, everything in between, right? So as you listen, I want you to, yes, definitely listen and notice what you agree with right away. Notice what inspires you to think a little differently. And also notice what you want to reject firsthand, because there's lessons in all of it. And that was very true for me as well. As I mentioned, 4 buckets I put underneath the heading of positive feedback. One person said, "This felt realistic. I appreciate that you didn't sugarcoat how hard it is right now. It felt validating to hear someone say, yeah, it sucks, instead of pretending everything is about hustle and reinvention and leaping to the next thing and et cetera, et cetera." 2, I love the reframing of staying as bravery. The idea that sticking this out can be an actual strong choice right now, not a weak one, really landed with me. That's what this person wrote. It helps me feel less ashamed about not quitting or launching something new in this economy. And then the third sort of representative quote was the tiny habit idea that feels doable. And as a reminder, the tiny habits were the sticky notes, the phone background, identifying and implementing the minimum necessary for success. So doing your job well, but doing your job well. All right. The second big bucket was relieved feedback. The number 1 quote around here, and then I'm going to read a quote and I'm going to try not to tear up. "Thank you for saying I'm not weak." She wrote, "I didn't realize how much shame I was carrying about staying, especially when I think about my parents and how much they struggled all their lives. Hearing that staying can be wise and intentional made me exhale. My parents struggled so I could have choices." Goodness gracious, I tear up every time. Because that's what it's about, right? I struggle, so my kids have even more choices than I did. The second representative quote was, "I feel less alone." The part about layoffs, rising costs, and specifically watching underperforming men earn more, that's my reality. It was comforting to hear it named out loud. I'm not alone. I need to remember that, and I don't have to make a big shift to be okay. And then the third representative was, I needed explicit permission to stop overachieving. I've always overachieved, and to be told to just achieve felt like someone finally gave me permission to protect me. These past years have been so hard, and I want to just be a human, not a professional all the time anymore. Whew, tears up. Now we get back into maybe the other side of feedback, which was dismissive feedback. Again, remember, you're noticing, what do you agree with? What inspires you? What do you reject? Because there's something to learn there for everyone. Okay. Dismissive feedback. This is just rebranded coping. Calling it bravery in the meantime, that's just a nicer label for staying in a bad situation. Women have stayed in bad situations for too long. Wash and repeat. And then it had this hilarious set of emoji. When I was like, yeah, speak your truth, right? The second representative quote for this one was, "This sounds like quiet quitting with better branding." I was like, oh my gosh, I want to know more. So I asked some questions. And the answer that came back was, it doesn't feel strategic. It feels like disengagement. I don't want to quiet quit. I want the promotion and I want the money I already deserve. I was like, yeah, I get that. I get that. And then lastly, the angry feedback, like truly angry. Some of these conversations I had in person, some of them I had in writing, text message. Your advice to ask fewer questions, stay quieter in meetings, do the minimum is just another way women are told, make yourself smaller. Don't push change. That isn't brave, Nicole. Okay. I was like, yeah, all right, let me think about it. Number 2, this still centers individual coping instead of systemic justice. I am tired of being told, and I'm tired of women being told to build resiliencies while these execs and shareholders and billionaires benefit from our brokenness. Where is your anger of structural inequality? Whew. And then lastly, therapy and coaching are inaccessible to everyone. Suggesting therapy coaching courses, it makes you look like an out of touch white woman. You have so much privilege. Some of us are out here barely covering childcare, rent, debt after all these irresponsible layoffs. Yes. So before I share my reflection, even though I set the tone, I want you to take a moment for yourself right now. I took many moments, perhaps even pause after I share 3 questions with you. As you just listen to the feedback I got, what feels true for you right now? What inspires you for your growth right now? And what do you reject now or through this particularly career phase for self? Okay. I really hope you took a moment to think about, stretch your brain. I'm going to share my brain with you and my heart because here's my response. Now that I've shared all the responses I've got, now I'm going to share mine. First, thank you. Thank you to every person who sent your thoughts, responses, recommendations, critique. You are brave. It takes courage. It is a choice to tell someone what you like and what you don't like, what you appreciate and what you reject, and why. Even if you don't know why, I appreciate you for being here, listening to my perspective, reflecting for yourself, and then gifting all of that to me and this entire brave community. More than a handful of people wrote, I hope you'll address this on your podcast. And I'm like, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. We need relationships. We need direct conversation. We need bravery. Second, quite a number of people, myself included sometimes, often, especially when it comes to parenting, need to be reminded. Take what's true for you right now in your face. Leave or set aside everything that isn't or doesn't. If speaking up less isn't a growth area for you because you're working on your voice, taking up space, being visible or seen, ignore it. Ignore it. If getting permission to work less goes against your goal to follow through more, ignore it. Hold on until a time when you are following through a boss and you need to stop with the perfection, right? Take what is true for you, what is a stretch for you, and leave everything else. That's not for you right now. That maybe was for a past you or is for a future. You do not need every grain to be for you to gain something from a resource. And again, I'm not trying to preach at you. I'm trying to remind you because I need this reminder sometimes too. Okay. But, and this is the third part of my response, if you can't work less or speak up less because your identity and your personal value rests in your profession, your career, your title, your paycheck numbers, I need you to lean all the way in. Please, earballs open. Exactly what you want to reject because it threatens you is the most important work you could be doing right now for yourself. If you cannot exhale, put some things down, be where you are now because it threatens you, that is exactly what you need to be working on. Lastly, and this is my last response, quite a number of your messages made me realize I really have to check my own privilege. And maybe you do too. You're right. Therapy and coaching isn't accessible to everyone. Not as everything gets more expensive, more threatening. I needed that reminder. And for some of you, not everyone, but for some of you, not everyone has the privilege to move home to their parents, take on debt, or leap without a net. Some people literally escaped their parents. They're rejected for loans based on racist, sexist, and broken systems. And some people, specifically one of my clients, is a single mom. One of her kids has special requirements and literally no safety net. Another one of my clients is endangered every single day if she leaves her home by the American ICE patrols. I need to check my own privilege, and some of you do too. That's not a challenge. It's a call in. Because if we all bring more awareness, if we all bring more reflection, if we put our voice out there or not, and we get the feedback, good, bad, ugly, that reflection is how we become more brave. It is how you build your brave career. And it will not look or sound or feel like what you think it's going to do. We need more awareness and we need more reflection. We need more direct conversation and we need a lot more bravery. And that brings me to how I'm going to end this episode. For so many of us, these moments, days, weeks, and months are hard. You want support. You want guidance. You want to build your brave. And honestly, I really want to help. Yes, my company is a key source of my income. It is also my purpose. So here's what I want to hear from you, please. If you could be ever so generous, be bold and be brave in this bizarre moment of our shared experiences. What can I create? What can I host that will support you to build your brave career? Remember, I said my focus is right now on health, family, and then delivery, then marketing and podcasting, which is essentially what this is, right? What can I create? What can I host that will actually support you in building your brave career? My email is open. My DMs on LinkedIn are open. Both are linked all over the place on my website and in the podcast notes. And I'm really quite serious here. Be brave as fuck and tell me, what can I offer that will support you to build your brave career? Till next time.
If the Build Your Brave Career podcast is helping you flip the script in your own career, if it's helping you reduce your stress, work smarter, or create more income, please share this with a friend. Till next time, you are already brave. Now go build your brave.